Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVUA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris, and we have Buffalo Rock presenting us tonight with Pepsi, a Southern original. Love that sound, but let me tell you something. I love that taste even better when it's going down. Remember to pick up some Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store or convenience store. All right, Rodney, it's November. It's been a long season. Games aren't always supposed to be easy. And Alabama defeated Mississippi State this past Saturday night in Starkville in a nail-biter of a game, driving down late in the fourth quarter to rally from behind and beat the Bulldogs 31-24. Now, after the game, Coach Saban met with the media, and he talked about how close games can really be good for a team. This Coach Talk segment, sponsored by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
You need hard. You know, if we're going to beat really good teams, if we're going to be able to compete, we got to learn how to compete in close games where every play counts, where you got to play every play for 60 minutes in a game. Every third down is important. Lots of opportunities in critical situations in the game for players to make plays. And we don't always have that when we win 49-0. So it's important that you do that. And we still have big games coming up, really big games. And hopefully we can get our players better, because I do think we need to improve if we're going to be able to finish like we want to.
Well, Rodney, it was tough. Mississippi State was ready to play in the game. They had a lackluster performance the week before against UMass. Clearly was focused on Alabama. And, you look up midway through the fourth quarter, and they're up 24-17. But Bama outscored them 14-0 down the stretch, 14-3 total in the fourth quarter. And I thought, Rodney, that give Mississippi State credit. Again, they played well, but Alabama showed its championship pedigree. The Tide knows how to win these kind of games. That's what championship teams do. And Mississippi State, meanwhile, still kind of trying to figure out how to finish. And I thought that was the difference in the game.
Well, I mean, I think on offense and defense, Gary, I don't know what the exact stats were in the fourth quarter, but I know Alabama had, close to 175, 180 yards in the fourth quarter. Only gave up 34 yards in the fourth quarter. You mentioned how they had outscored them. So, again, I agree with everything you said. And this Mississippi State team, I picked it 24-16 last week for a reason. Yeah. Because I really thought it was going to be extremely competitive.
It was. And, they had a great plan, I thought. So many people try to play fast against Alabama. They slowed it down. They ran the football. They controlled the ball. They were 8 for 15 on third downs. They had time of possession way in their favor, and quite frankly, Alabama made big plays on offense, but wasn't on the field that much. But number 3 right there, Calvin Ridley, we know he's got a lot of talent. 5 catches, Rodney, but for 171 yards. He didn't score a touchdown, but he set up 2 or 3 of them. He really was a big player in the game for the Alabama offense.
He really was, Gary. When Alabama's down 7-0, he makes that play where on the crossing route where he avoids a tackler and turns a, medium-sized gain into a 60-plus yard gain down the left sideline, got Alabama back in the game. And, Josh Jacobs here, I thought he was really big in the game when he came in on some of those sweeps. So some of Alabama's really difference makers on the offensive side stepped up. Jalen Hurts had some nice throws down the stretch, had a really crucial run on, fourth and 4?
5, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big run. Damian Harris here with this run early in the second half. So I just thought all of Alabama's playmakers on the offensive side of the ball really stepped up down the stretch.
Well, Alabama fans might have been on their edge of their seats with nervousness, and rightfully so, but one guy that stayed cool, calm, and collected, you alluded to him, Jalen Hurts. The poised sophomore quarterback led his team onto the field in the fourth quarter with only one thing in his mind, one thing that he fed off of was that national championship game last year to Clemson, and here he is talking about it.
Well, initially, I walked onto the field and looked at the scoreboard, see how much time I had left. It was 1:09. And I couldn't help but think of the national championship game, came short of last year where Deshaun Watson had 1:09 left in the game. And he went down and scored. And, and we ended up doing the same.
I mean, it's crazy how much poise he has and how relaxed he is in those type of situations. And I'm just really proud of him. And he's a great leader on the offense and on the team. And he just showed great leadership on that last drive. And he did a couple things that a normal quarterback couldn't do. And that's why he's Jalen.
Rodney, it's kind of ironic that in that moment he flashed back to last year and what Deshaun Watson was able to do against Alabama, and he thought of that. And that last drive was a beautiful drive, and he kept his cool. He made a big throw to Ridley, and then of course the touchdown pass to Smith, and that was the ball game.
Yeah, you talk about, Gary, when you win championships, you have to win games like this. You always have games that are going to come down to this kind of an ending. And it's happened many times before. 2009, the Tennessee game, we remember that, and just so many games in the past when Alabama's won championships. And this was another one of those drives. There you see the throw across the middle to Ridley. Look at this play right here. This is when Alabama was down 7-0, and Ridley really got Alabama going here. Look at the downfield blocking, too. True freshman Jerry Jeudy, number 4, downfield blocking, as well as true freshman Devontae Smith. Big play. And, again, we talked about how effective Jalen is. He only had 40 yards rushing in the game, Gary, but he had some really crucial runs. When you look at Jalen Hurts, it's not that you look at him and say he's a great passer or whatever it might be. It's the overall player that he is, everything he brings to the table, Gary, that makes him so dangerous.
Yeah, and the poise. I asked him afterwards, Rodney, I said, your demeanor, is that something you've worked on? Does it just come natural? He said, that's just my personality. I just don't get too high and I don't get too low. And it serves him well in those crucial situations. By the way, we didn't match on purpose tonight. We didn't plan this. It just kind of worked out that way. Coming up next on Tider Insider TV, Alabama basketball plays the home opener tonight against Lipscomb, and fans will be happy and relieved to see a familiar freshman on the court tonight for the Crimson Tide. And also coming up, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. As always, the phone number, 205-348-9882. That's 348-WVUA. Or you can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com or reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be right back with a show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide for, gosh, close to 20 years now. The award-winning Tider Insider TV will return right after this timeout. Welcome back to Tider Insider Television. As always, alongside Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris, and following 2 tough and physical SEC games against LSU and Mississippi State, Alabama gears up for Senior Day and the last home game of the season this Saturday morning at 11 a.m. against Mercer. Now, the Mercer Bears are a program, and they've, had some success this year. They've won some, they've lost some, but one thing that head coach Bobby Lamb has never done is face the #1 ranked team before, but he's confident, based on a game earlier this season against Alabama's arch rival, that he can have success and his team can have success against the Tide.
We're playing the #1 team in the nation. I've coached 31 years. I've been in a lot of FBS stadiums, and this is the first time I've ever coached against the #1 team in the nation. The good news for us is we've already taken one step and played Auburn in a similar situation. And so I think we can feed off that Auburn game and go in there and compete just like we did against Auburn, and that's a very similar game plan.
All right, Rodney, here's the deal. Alabama's banged up. They've got the biggest game of the season a week from Saturday. At the same time, you still have a game to play this Saturday. And everyone would like to see Alabama get a big lead, get some guys out of the game, get rested, and get an early start on Auburn. At the same time, that won't happen unless you prepare in the right way this week, because this is a team, an FCS team, that is capable, as they did against Auburn, of hanging around if you don't bring it from the first quarter on.
Yeah, they are. They proved it against Auburn, and you look at them right now, Gary. They're 5-5. Mercer is, and I think right now, they're here. Recently, they lost to Samford.
They did
20-3, if I'm not mistaken. So, they did have an outstanding game against Auburn. They played them well. I think that was a 24-10 game in the end. But I agree with what you're saying. Hopefully, when you play these games, most of the time when we've played these games at this point in the season, right before Auburn, you've seen Alabama take control early, put the game away, and then you start going to some of the backup players. And I think that's really important this year, because especially on defense, getting some of these guys experience, some of the guys that you're going to have to play against Auburn. And if you move on forward past that, certainly you're going to have those guys ready to play. So I think that's really key and crucial in this game.
There's no doubt about it. And Alabama wants to take care of business in this game. and not get anyone else hurt too. That's sometimes easier said than done because football is a collision sport. But hopefully they'll come out of it healthy, and they'll come out ready to go for Auburn next Saturday in the Iron Bowl. Well, football isn't the only thing happening in November, of course. The men's basketball team tips off its schedule tonight, its home schedule against Lipscomb. A lot of hype surrounding this team, and one player in particular, and head coach Avery Johnson and the team are excited to get out on their home court with Colin Sexton in the lineup.
With him being out, yeah, stuff happens, but you got to move on with the process. We'll be glad to have him back tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a good spark and get us going.
I'm really proud of him, how he's matured in the sense of appreciation of having an opportunity to put on that Alabama uniform on tomorrow night.
Well, Rodney, Bama fans are thrilled to get to watch Colin Sexton tonight. An eligibility issue kept him out of the exhibition game, kept him out of the opener, which Alabama won against Memphis 82-70 without him, without Braxton Key, without Armand Davis, and without Riley Norris. But they're home tonight. Sexton's going to be in the lineup. I'm sure he's going to have a lot of energy and adrenaline flowing after not playing those first two games. What do you think that this Alabama team has the potential to do? As I said, they were without 4 players, and they beat a decent Memphis team at a neutral site last week, 82-70. Is this a team, in your opinion, that has the potential to get into the NCAA tournament?
Well, I certainly think so. I think you look at the upgrade in talent. I think that Avery Johnson each year is kind of taking another step. And now with these young players that he has and some of the guys that are returning, you mentioned, Gary, they played without 4 guys in that game against Memphis and won the game rather handily. So, yeah, I think this team's outstanding. I think they're going to continue to develop. And my question is, I'm trying to think back, when's the last time you've had a freshman making his debut that's created this much excitement at Alabama? It's been a while.
There have been many. Maybe Gerald Wallace. Ron Steele had a lot of hype, but it has certainly been a while.
I'm thinking back even to Ennis Watley and Bobby Lee Hurt.
Could have been. All right, that's tonight. Well, coming up next on TITV, the men's cross-country team is headed to the NCAA championships. We'll have the story when we come back. And up next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls. Again, the phone number 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. There's the email. There's the Twitter handle. Get in touch with us. We want to hear from you, Bama fans, next here on the program. Well, over the weekend, the Alabama men's cross-country team earned an at-large berth in the NCAA cross-country championships. That's awesome. They finished third in the South Regional that they hosted last Friday. The top 2 finishers automatically went to the NCAAs, but Alabama had the 3 top finishers individually in that meet. They're a really good team. They deserve this at-large berth, and they'll go on to the national championships in Louisville, Kentucky. It'll be the first time since 2010 that Alabama cross-country has made it there, and that meet is set for November the 18th. All right, welcome back into TITV. Let's get right to our New Life Art phone line and check in on line 1 with John in Bessemer. New Life Art, of course, Daniel Moore. When there's been a great moment in Alabama football, Daniel Moore's New Life Art has been the people to put it on a canvas. All right, John, what's up tonight, man?
What's up, Gary?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, man, do y'all think we got a chance to knock it off Auburn in 2 weeks? I want to know the recruit, what kind of recruit we're going to get for next year later.
All right, John. Yeah, Alabama's got a chance. It's going to be a tough game. We'll talk much more about it, of course, next week. But, I bet you the Auburn people feel good about it. I bet you the Alabama people feel good about it. When you got 2 really good teams, as we've seen with Auburn when they've been really good in 2010 and 2013, they're capable of knocking off Alabama. They did it both those years and played for the national championship. Won it once and played for it again, won 2 SEC titles. They've got that type of team this year, Rodney. It's going to be a knockdown drag. No doubt about it.
Much like 2013 in terms of the hype leading up to the game.
And recruiting-wise, it's going well. They're going to have another really good class, a top 10 class probably for sure, maybe not a top 3 like we're accustomed to, John, but it'll be a good class. All right, let's go talk to Charles over in Talladega. What's up, Charles? Charles, you with us? Charles, you there? Well, Charles, I wanted to know if we checked in on Colin Cross. That's the running back from over there at Talladega. I think it's Talladega Central or school. Don't know much about him. Have heard a little bit about him. He's a big kid, Rodney. Over 220 pounds. Has put up some huge numbers this year. Big physical young man. He's probably on the radar of quite a few college teams out there, maybe even Alabama. We'll just kind of wait and see. I'll try to find more information about him, Charles, but I do know that he's a really good player. We do know that. All right, let's go to Bill in Birmingham. Bill, welcome into the program.
Hey, good evening, guys. Roll Tide. Hey, not to look too far ahead, but I was listening to Tyler Watch after the game Saturday, and he was saying that there was quite a bit of a distinction between Jarrett Stidham and Fitzpatrick, I think, from Mississippi State.
Yeah.
And what do you think that there's any weakness in him in Stidham that we can exploit?
All right, Bill. Well, I'm going to let Rodney chime in with most of it here. But the first big difference is Fitzgerald's a power runner. I mean, he can run over you. Stidham's got good feet. He can run a little bit, but he's not a runner in the mode of Cam Newton and Nick Marshall. He's a good passer, very accurate, can pull it down when he needs to. But as far as Nick Fitzgerald, them running the ball, there's not a lot of comparison there. Fitzgerald is 6'5", about 230 pounds, and will just run over you.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a good breakdown right there. And you know, you look at Nick Fitzgerald, what they just faced, the threat of the run that he brings is much greater than what Stidham does. Now, Stidham's a good athlete. He was a high school receiver before he played quarterback. He was an outstanding athlete in high school. And, he's a guy that can pull it down, scramble some, but he's not nearly the threat that Fitzgerald is in the running game, but he is an outstanding passer. Now, when you're talking about a better passer, he's probably a better pure passer than Fitzgerald.
He clearly is,
yeah.
Much more accurate. All right, Bill, thanks for the call there on the New Life Art Hotline. Let's take an email from Gary over in Helena. Why haven't we seen more of Scott Cochran this season? Is it related to all of the injuries the team has had this year? Now, Scott Cochran's the strength coach. I'm trying to figure out exactly what he means in regards
Probably the sideline shots.
Okay.
I guess,
well, he's down there, and maybe he is. Maybe he's working with the injured guys on the sideline doing rehab. But I promise you, Gary, he's there. He's the head strength and conditioning coach. But yeah, maybe they just haven't shown him. It doesn't seem like maybe he's jumped around quite as much.
Alabama fans notice everything.
Yeah, they do. They don't miss a beat. Well, coming up, more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Again, the information posted right there on your screen. Phone lines are open right now, 205-348-9882. So give us a call. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to Tider Insider TV, presented by Buffalo Rock. Let's get right back to Daniel Moore's New Life Art Hotline and talk to Rick over in Brent. Hey, Rick, what's going on, man?
Man, how are y'all tonight?
Doing very well, Rick.
I was wondering, is there any scenario, if Alabama lost the Iron Bowl, could we still make the playoffs with Miami and Clemson very highly rated, and then Auburn and Georgia?
Well, you wouldn't want it to come down to that. You want to beat Auburn and control your own destiny. Yeah, it's possible. Rodney, I think if Alabama were to lose to Auburn, and let's say Georgia drops one of their last two against, I think, Kentucky or Georgia Tech, and then they were to beat Auburn in the SEC championship game, that might be an opening for Alabama. Or if well, I just don't see any way. If Auburn beats Alabama and Auburn beats Georgia, they're going to get that spot. But if Georgia can knock off Auburn, and let's say Georgia loses one of their final two regular season games, I could see Alabama getting in there possibly.
Yeah, I think what if Alabama and Auburn play in a really tight game and Auburn wins and then they beat Georgia for the second time? Obviously that knocks Georgia out. They won't have any.
So maybe both of them could get in, is what you're saying?
Maybe possibly both Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah, and depending on what happens in other games, Rick, yeah, there's a chance. But clearly if Alabama beats Auburn and then beats Georgia, that's the best way to get in. All right, let's go to Shelby County and talk with Larry. Larry, welcome into TITV.
Hey, good evening, guys.
Hey, Larry.
Question, basically, was wondering if everything as far as the future for the gentleman from Texas, the big defensive lineman, they call him the Black Hawk. Have you heard anything? Just wanted to know. Hang up, listen.
Yeah, Ronnie's got it.
Yeah, Kendall Jones. That's been a few years ago, Larry. Actually, he ended up going to a junior college. Was not academically eligible at the time to come here, and I think really he's going to probably, if he continues his football career, won't be here at Alabama, in my opinion.
All right, thanks for the call. Let's go over to Lineville and talk to Ricky. Hey, Ricky, you're on the program. What's up, man? Ricky.
Yeah, what's going on?
Go ahead, Ricky. What you got tonight?
I want to know if you think Jalen Hurts, you think he's going to get to play the whole game or play half of it? How do you think he's going to play this
Well, I think he'll play well, Ricky. I hope he doesn't play the whole game. I mean, I hope he gets in there and Alabama gets a lead and he can get out and get refreshed, and Tua Tagovailoa gets to come in and play a lot. I think that's the best case scenario for both those guys. If he's in the second half, that might not be a good sign for Alabama.
Yeah, I think you want to get him in and get him out as quickly as possible, and probably a lot of the other starters. I mean, if that opportunity arises, you want to play as many young guys as you can, and certainly I think that goes for the quarterback spot.
All right, Rodney, a little check-in during the break on Kylan Cross, the running back from Talladega County Central. Yeah, he's going to be a 2018 signee. He's having a great year, Charles, and we'll try to get more information on him. But I guarantee you, if he's a Division I prospect, he's on Alabama's radar. You do not have to worry about that. All right, let's take a break. Yeah, let's talk about what's coming up next here on the show. And we've got 7 Alabama programs earning perfect NCAA graduation scores in 2017. We'll have that for you next, right after this. Well, here's a positive story. 7 Alabama programs earned perfect NCAA GSR scores in 2017. The Crimson Tide led the SEC in graduation success rates with men's basketball, men's golf, women's golf, gymnastics, men's tennis, women's tennis, and men's swimming and diving, all scoring perfect 100s. Wow. Alabama football jumped 4 points from last year to 84, ranked 4th in the SEC, marking the 9th year in a row the football team is ranked in the top 4 in the conference. So Saban not only getting it done on the football field, his guys getting it done in the classroom as well. All right, welcome back to Tider Insider TV. It's that time in the show again where we make our predictions for the upcoming game. And this week it's against Mercer. Obviously, we're going to pick Alabama to win. Rodney, but tell us how you think it'll go and what your score will be.
Well, you know, Gary, I think the big thing here is you've got to be able to rest some of your players. We've talked about that. A guy like Minkah Fitzpatrick, who's been a little bit banged up, I think it's a great opportunity to rest those guys as you start to move forward, give them some extra rest as you prepare for the Auburn game down the road. But, you know, again, hopefully that opportunity arises. We know that they played Auburn extremely well, as we discussed earlier. But, you know, I think this being the last game, I really think the Alabama players be focused. 48-3.
You know, you never know in these games. I heard you say earlier that most of the time Alabama handles business, and they do. But I remember a couple years when they've had close games in these games, too. I think the defense is going to have a point to prove with everyone questioning some of the guys that are out there. I think offensively they'll be good. I don't think they'll be great. I don't think they'll light it up. But in the end, Alabama wins this one easily. And I'm going to say the Tide gets the shutout, Rodney. I'm going to go 42-0. By the way, the college football playoff rankings come out tonight at 8 o'clock. Will Alabama be number 1? We'll find out. Our beautiful shirts and ties, as always, provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original elephant wear. Go by and see them in person or shop online at locker-room.biz. I'm telling you what, man, they will make you look great just in time for the holidays. And join us tonight in downtown Tuscaloosa to eat some delicious pizza from Heat Pizza Bar. We'll be headed over that way immediately after the show. Join us. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. This has been Tider Insider TV. You can catch a replay tonight at 10:30. Have a good evening.